Welcome to the Travis County Deputy Voter Registrar Training for the 2023-2024 cycle. Whether you live here in Travis County, Central Texas, or anywhere in the state, we are pleased to provide you this training opportunity. Currently, there is no online voter registration in the state of Texas, so we rely on volunteer deputy registrars like you to keep the community registered. A volunteer deputy registrar, or VDR, is a volunteer who registers voters in the state of Texas. VDRs are appointed by the county voter registrar, are citizens of the United States and Texas residents 18 years of age or older. VDRs cannot be convicted of a felony, or if convicted, they must be off paper, and they cannot be determined to be totally or partially mentally incapacitated without the right to vote by a judge. VDRs can only register voters in the county or counties in which they have been appointed. Upon successful completion of this course, you will be certified in the County of Travis. Want to be a VDR in another Texas county? Contact the voter registration office in the county of interest. They will inform you of their reciprocal certification process. Often they will require you to show them a copy of your certification, but different counties may vary in their qualifications. The Secretary of State's office requires that all Texas counties recognize current VDR training for reciprocity purposes. The service term of a VDR begins when you are awarded your certificate of appointment and expires on December 31st of every even-numbered year. This expiration date is the same for all VDRs. Let's go over the duties of a VDR. Offer a voter registration application to any eligible Travis County resident. A good question to ask is, are you registered to vote at your current address? Voter registration will be automatically renewed every even-number year unless the voter moves to another address or the voter is convicted of a felony and has not yet completed their sentence to become off paper. Assist each person in completing the application and answer any questions they may have. Review the completed signed application. Be sure to correct any errors or obtain any missing information. Complete the receipt at the bottom of the form and give it to the applicant. Suggest that they keep the receipt until receiving their certificate in the mail. Inform the applicant that their registration status will become effective 30 days from the date of registration and that our certificates are mailed monthly. In summary, offer voter registration to anyone and everyone. Team up with other VDRs in order to register more voters. Assist the applicant in filling out the application if they request help, and please keep track of your completed applications until you return them to our office. Let's go over the requirements for voter registration in Texas. An applicant registering to vote in Texas must be a citizen of the United States and a Texas resident. They must be at least 17 years and 10 months old to register to vote. They must be 18 on election day in order to vote in an election, but they can register to vote when they're 17 years and 10 months old. An applicant registering to vote in Texas must not be convicted of a felony, or if convicted, they must be off paper, and they must not be determined to be totally or partially mentally incapacitated without the right to vote by a judge. Do not attempt to determine if someone is legally allowed to vote. We have a saying here in the voter registration office, when in doubt, fill it out. If a resident is unsure of their registration status, or if they're unsure if they are registered to vote at their current address, encourage them to fill out an application with you. A card filled out for any reason will generate a new card, and there is no penalty for filling out an application if you are already registered. The Secretary of State's VDR application can be used in one of three ways: either to register a voter for the first time as a new voter, to update the name and address on a voter's registration record, or to request a replacement voter registration certificate. VDRs will use this form when registering applicants to vote. The VDR will be responsible for returning this form into the county voter registrar. A completed form filled out for any reason will generate a new voter registration certificate for the applicant. Answer any questions the applicant may have. Some fields are required while others are optional. Two optional fields are the phone number and the gender. You cannot suggest that the applicant answer these questions. We will review the required fields. Section 1 establishes eligibility. The citizenship question must be answered. The applicant must check either yes or no, and in Section 1, this is the only required field. Section 2 is for the applicant's legal name, as it appears on their government-issued ID, either their Texas driver's license, their Texas personal ID card, their Social Security card. This legal name could differ from their signature or name. Section 3 is for the address, the residence address, the address that the person lives, where they lay their head at night. Remember apartment numbers. P.O. boxes and rural addresses are not acceptable for the residence address. This is a required field, even if the mailing address section has been completed. The mailing address section is optional and is only needed if the residence address and the mailing address are not the same. The mailing address can be a P.O. box. The date of birth must include the month, the day, and the year the applicant was born. Make sure that they are providing their birth date and not today's date. An applicant must provide either their 8-digit Texas driver's license or Texas personal ID number or the last 4 digits of their Social Security number. If they do not possess either, have them check the box to indicate that they have not been issued either type of ID. The applicant must sign the application in order to confirm their voter registration. Any mark is acceptable for the signature. You cannot sign the application for the voter, and the date is necessary because it determines the date the applicant applied. Review the application in front of the applicant. Provide your VDR number in the deputy number field and sign and date the application. The VDR receipt. Print the name of the applicant. Print and sign your name. In Travis County, there is no receipt number. Please leave this box blank or write NA. Date the receipt. Cut or tear the receipt portion and give it to the applicant. Tell the applicant to keep their receipt until they receive their voter registration card in the mail. Their registration will become effective in 30 days. One of the questions we get in voter registration is, can I be partisan when I register voters? And our answer is yes, but with some qualifications. If you are registering voters under the banner of Travis County Voter Registration or another nonpartisan group, you cannot be partisan. If you register voters on your own or with a political campaign, you can be partisan. However, you must register everyone to vote, regardless of party affiliation, even if you're working on a campaign or with a political organization. There are 3 types of relationships that can register a resident to vote on their behalf. These are called agents. The only 3 relationships are parent, child, and spouse. Agents register on behalf of the resident with their permission. They will complete the form and sign and date the application and indicate their relationship to the applicant. We have talked about the application that voters fill out with a VDR and are given a receipt. There are other applications that voters can use to register to vote. VDRs can distribute walk-away mail-in applications to residents that either don't have time to register with a VDR or reside in a county the VDR is not certified in. Travis County applications are addressed to our office. You can hand them out to people who don't have time to register with you and they want to fill it out and mail it in themselves. They will mail the applications themselves and you cannot mail it in for them. The Secretary of State's office also provides applications addressed to their office. These are for VDRs to hand out to residents in counties in which the VDR is not certified. The applicant must fill out the form and mail it in themselves. Do not mail in the application on behalf of the applicant. It's important to remember that turning in a mail-in form for an applicant will serve as grounds for termination of the VDR certification. This applies to both Travis County and the Secretary of State mail-in forms. Every card, every time is another motto we have at voter registration. Every application completed with you must be returned to our office. Dropping off forms and supplies. In the summer of 2022, our office moved to 2433 Ridgepoint Drive, which is located at the corner of 183 and 290. We are located on the second floor. Take the elevator to the second floor, and we are located to the right of the elevator. We have a drop box at the main office. If you go to the main entrance and you go to the right, there's a drop box that says voter registration applications here. And you just need to put those applications right in the drop box. They are 24/7. Our satellite offices around the county also have drop boxes. A list of the satellite offices will be included in your welcome information. Returning completed applications. The VDR must drop off their completed and incomplete applications within 5 days of their event. If an applicant is registering with you on Monday, it is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you need to have returned those applications. They are actual days, not business days. The applications must be returned the day after a voter registration deadline by 5 p.m. Voters must be registered 30 days in advance of an election, and that is what determines the voter registration deadline. We will let you know when upcoming voter registration deadlines are looming so you can make sure that you returned all your voter registration applications before the deadline. Any VDR can drop off applications, not necessarily the VDR who signed the form, but only VDRs can drop off applications. So if I'm working with a group of VDRs, my fellow VDR can drop off my applications, but I cannot give my applications to a non-VDR for drop off on my behalf. VDRs are civic ambassadors to the community, and accepting these duties places you in a position of trust to the people you will register. You should not attempt to determine if someone is legally allowed to vote. Our office will do that when the verification process begins. Do not appoint others to be VDRs. Only the county voter registrar's office can do so. Do not sign the application on behalf of the applicant. Do not keep scans or copies of voter registration applications that you collect. Your appointment as a VDR may be terminated by the appointing authority if you fail to review a voter registration application properly, intentionally destroyed or physically altered a registration application, or engaged in any other activity that conflicts with your responsibilities as a VDR. A VDR will be terminated by the appointing authority if they are finally convicted of an offense under the law related to the delivery of completed applications to the registrar, or if they are convicted of an offense under the law related to performance-based compensation for voter registration. When registering people to vote, you cannot offer them something of value in exchange for voter registration. So if you are doing a voter registration drive and you are giving out cupcakes, you must give out cupcakes to everyone, regardless of whether or not they registered to vote. Keeping the community registered. We register all eligible residents in the community, but there are certain groups that might have special questions or special circumstances, and we want to make sure that you have the correct information. People who have been convicted of a felony who are off paper, meaning they fully discharged their felony conviction in Texas, can apply to have their voting rights restored. Applicants who have finished their terms of punishment, completed their probation, and are no longer on supervision are considered off paper. Most people in these situations know what you mean by off paper. If they are unsure, advise them to contact their parole officer or their lawyer. Do not register voters if they are still on paper because we don't want to put them in a position where they may be in legal jeopardy. People can register to vote even if they are experiencing homelessness. Use an intersection or an address that they stay at consistently when filling out the residence address. We supply a list of P.O. boxes with shelters that can be used as mailing addresses. College students can register to vote just like anyone else. However, they have the option of registering to vote either at the address that they currently live or the address of where they consider their hometown. They can choose to register at either of these addresses, but not both. If someone has a disability, they may require assistance either going to the polls or filling out forms. If they need assistance filling out a voter registration form, you can assist them. But make sure that they sign the form after it is filled out and reviewed with them. If an agent fills out the application, they need to sign it and label it with their signature and relationship to the applicant. When registering people to vote, you may encounter some election questions. One of the most common questions is, what type of photo ID do I need to use to vote? We provide a list of voter IDs that are acceptable in Texas. Two of the most common are the Texas driver's license and the U.S. passport, but there are 7 different types. If a voter does not have one of the approved forms of photo ID, they can still vote. They will provide what we call a supporting document and fill out a reasonable impediment declaration. A reasonable impediment declaration simply says that they have an impediment to getting one of those forms of photo ID. VoteTravis.com is the website we run with Travis County elections. This includes information on voter registration and the elections division, so we direct voters to this site. We've gone over all kinds of voter registration information, and now it's time to test your knowledge. Simply take this quiz and receive an 80% or higher in order to register to become a certified Travis County VDR. A welcome email will be sent to you with a PDF of your Volunteer Deputy Registrar certificate, a link to our Facebook group and VDR community site, and a link to our electronic training packet. The electronic training packet includes duties of a VDR, a Volunteer Deputy Registrar guide, the voter registration form guide, a link to the Secretary of State downloadable application, Travis County upcoming elections, the flyer, Bring It to the Booth, mailing addresses for those experiencing homelessness, and our VDR checklist. Make sure that you're prepared when you go to register voters. Make sure that you have voter registration forms, blue or black pens, your VDR number, a clipboard, the election calendar, and a voter ID flyer. I invite you to join the 100 Plus Club, the club for VDRs who register over 100 voters. Congratulations, you're now an official Volunteer Deputy Registrar for Travis County until December 31st, 2024. Now go out there and register some voters.